All right, everybody, very warm welcome to the new moon practice. So welcome Sandhya, welcome Ankita, Seema, Saloni is here, hi Shilpa. And welcome to Magdalena, Savita, Tapaswini, Sudha, Aisha, Bhavna, Achyut. Okay, warm welcome. Good to have you all. And as you know, that these are primarily practice sessions. We make use of the potential energy in the new moon and full moon phase, so we can practice a little more intensely. Many traditions do this. When I was for some time living as a Buddhist monk, then we would practice all night. Full moon and new moon was all night practice. At least that was the encouragement. Not everybody would make it through the night. You tried. And so once in a while, it's nice to challenge ourselves, exert ourselves a little bit. So let's just start with a moment of stillness, moment of silence. Just connect to yourself. My chat window is open, so in case there's anything at any point you want to say, you can put it in the chat window. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. And my intention is that whatever is most useful, most helpful, most beneficial at this phase in our journey, may it be made available, made manifest. May the right teachings, energies, boost, motivation, inspiration, information, insight, may it all be made available to us to ease and soothe our process, accelerate our process towards self-actualization and self-realization, full embodiment, full awakening, full enlightenment. Waking up to who we really are, thereby empowering our manifest self, our incarnation, taking everything to the beautiful Zen teaching that the obstacle is the path. I love that. The obstacle is the path. Don't imagine there is some other path which is full of roses. The obstacle is the path. Bring it on. So may today's practice be something that gives all of us strength, confidence, deep sense of resilience, and a sense that even if it's not pleasant, everything is happening exactly the way it should. It's all good medicine. It's all good medicine. To meet it without resistance, and if possible, with openness, if possible, welcoming, and if possible, absolutely rejoicing. Bring it on. This is good medicine. I was having a discussion earlier today, and the question came up, is that if you could have any superpower, what would it be? Let me actually ask you this question. If you could have any superpower, and take a moment, don't just quickly say, oh, I want to fly. It's fine to fly, but why do you want to fly? So take a moment and think, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? If you feel like putting it in the chat, go ahead. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? Yeah, Anu says to be able to quiet my mind of chatter. That's a superpower. Kashi says acceptance. Sandhya says healing powers. GA says to erase jealousy. Ankita says telepathy. Plant bright ideas all around me. Rituparna says to heal anyone who has gone through long periods of physical and mental struggle. Srijata says to be in a state of oneness consistently. That's a good superpower. Someone says able to be in the nothingness. And Aisha says fearlessness. Magdalena says soothe and alleviate all suffering. Mamta says blossom everyone in love. Nupur says that love to feed all the hungry people. And Sujay says would be to ensure that no one in the world goes hungry. Sujay, you have a partnership with Nupur right there. And Smita says miracle healing power. And Neeru says unconditional love. And Shrishti says be connected with the higher self at every moment. Beautiful. There are many more. Sangeeta says peace and happiness. And so on. Lovely. Yeah. And the one that came to me is that no matter how I live, no matter what I think and say and do, it accelerates the process of awakening and freedom and liberation for all beings. So it doesn't matter if my thoughts and words and actions are conventionally helpful or not, meaningful or not, beneficial or not, no matter how I live, may it accelerate my own and everybody's process of awakening. And awakening to what? Here's the awakening. So test this out in your experience, everybody. In a very simple way, let's just use two words: reality and fantasy. And of course, one can get into endless discussion about what is reality, but I'm just going to give you a very simple one, which is your present experience, inner experience, outer experience, including your sensory experience, including your thoughts, including your feelings. And yes, it's relative truth, but it's truth, nevertheless. So I'm going to say reality is your present experience, the full extent of your present experience, including everything. And fantasy is the superimposition of how it should be, how I should be, how you should be, how life should be. And so here's an awakening to consider. What's it like to be in touch with reality? And what's it like to be in the world of fantasy? And we're not saying one is better or worse. We're just saying notice it. So do a little mind experiment with yourself. What's it like to be in touch with reality, the way I just defined it? And what's it like to be in touch with the world of fantasy? Another way of saying this is what is and my ideas around what is. You see, it's a subtle thing, but it's a significant thing. The distinction between what is and my ideas about how it should be, could be, would be. One of my teachers, Byron Katie, calls it first generation and second generation. So first generation thought would be, yeah, the laptop, the new moon, we're doing some practice. And yeah, some of you shown up. And second generation could be, maybe we should do this earlier in the evening, it's getting too late. I'm not sure my internet is strong enough. Yeah. Why does everyone expect me to put my video on and they can get away with putting theirs off? The second generation. This is all the lights and how it should be, could be. Not now videos are coming on. So, second generation is should and shouldn't. You know, how it should be, how it could be, how it would be. So just note, this is just an example, right? So there's what is, and then there are the ideas about what is, your preferences around what is. And Byron Katie has a very interesting teaching. She says, first generation thinking does not cause suffering. Second generation thinking causes suffering. First generation is just what is. It is what it is. Second generation is no, it shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like this. You shouldn't be like this. Life shouldn't be like this. The world shouldn't be like this. One thing I've realized in my journey is it's not wrong to suffer. You totally, you're welcome to suffer. Not wrong to suffer. You don't have to. You don't have to get enlightened. You don't have to wake up. You can suffer. It's not wrong to suffer, but it's suffering. It is suffering. It's not wrong to suffer, but you don't have to suffer. This is an important distinction. So if someone is very adamant about suffering, then it's okay. You don't have to. There's a lovely story my teacher used to tell about these two friends. They were monks. They used to practice very diligently. And over years of practicing, they'd meditate together. They're good friends. And somewhere they made a pact with each other that, you don't know when death will come. But here's a pact. We will continue to encourage and support each other even after death. In other words, our friendship should not end at death. So they made a deep pact with each other. So the time came and they both died. They actually died quite close to the time of each other. So one of them found himself as a deva, beautiful deity, heavenly being. In the beginning, he's just so enthralled being a deva. Wow, amazing. His body is so light and his mind is so free and he doesn't have the usual baggage of being a human being. There's no rent to pay. There's no internet charges, there's no electricity bill. There's no WhatsApp outages. Life is pretty good here. And then a little while, being in Devalok, suddenly realized, hey, I had a friend. How can I forget? I made a promise. There's my friend. So being a Deva, being a heavenly being, he has something called Divya Chakshu. Divya Chakshu means he can see much further than you and I can see. So he can see in all the worlds. He said, my friend also died. Where did he go? So he searches the whole Deva realm. He can't find him there. He said, oh, did he go back to being human? He searches the whole human realm. He can't find him there. So don't tell me he became an animal. He searches the whole animal realm. He can't find him. Where the hell did he go? Did he become an insect? So he scans the whole insect realm. Oh my God. He's become an insect. He's become a beetle. My friend has become a beetle? How did he do that? This is not a Volkswagen beetle. It's like a beetle. So now this is not done, my friend, the beetle. I've got to get him out of this. And not just any beetle. He's a dung beetle. Dung beetles are the ones who specialize in taking shit and making smooth balls out of it. So he goes down and he says, hey, you, do you remember me? And the beetle says, who are you? He says, I'm your friend from the past life. And the beetle says, I don't know about all that. So no, trust me, I'm your friend. And what are you doing over here? He says, I'm busy, I'm having a good time. I found a big, fresh load of shit, and I'm making balls out of it. He says, no. Life can be much better than this. You should not be like this. Let me take you to a better place. Let me take you to the heavenly realm. It's a much better place. He said, that's fine, but tell me, in your heavenly realm, do you have shit like this? He says, come on, we don't have smelly shit like this. No, if you don't have shit, I'm not coming. So listen, you don't even know what you're missing. You're so caught up in your shit. Let me come and take you to a nice bed. At least open your mind to that. The dumb people said nothing to it. His friend said, listen, I promised my friend I'll help him. Now he's really in a bad state. He's not listening. He's being stubborn. I'm going to pull him. So he holds one of the legs of the beetle and starts pulling. And the beetle said, nothing doing. And he goes deeper and deeper into the shit. No, he digs deeper. And day by, like, he's never touched something as filthy. He's putting his hand deep inside the shit, trying to pull him out. But he's going deeper and deeper. So finally, the beetle is too, slippery and slimy. He goes deep into the shit. You can't. Oh my God. And he feels so sad. He couldn't rescue his friend. What is to be done? So then he leaves him. And then he comes back to his heavenly life. So the point of the story is that you can't force people. If that little fellow is happy in his dung, he's happy in his shit, and he wants to play with shit all day long, and he wants to make shit balls and throw balls of shit at other people, then that's their life. And that's what they have to go through. Right? And so we shouldn't get too attached to. This is when you find you start now overdoing it, trying to change others, help others, improve others. No, you can't. And everybody has their own time. Just like you had your own time. I'm sure there was a time in your life you were also like that dumb beetle. Everyone's trying to say, come on, get out of it. It's like, no. Nobody could convince you. Your parents couldn't convince you. Your teachers couldn't convince you. All your spiritual teachers lost their hair in the process. So it's a very powerful teaching. That suffering is there. It's not necessary to suffer. It's not wrong to suffer. You can suffer. I'll force you. Most of the time, we don't even know there's an option. We don't even know there's an option. When I first did my, I was going for a Vipassana course. I was 16 years old. And I asked this, actually it was my classmate. His father was a Vipassana teacher. So I asked him, why do people meditate? He said, we meditate to be happy. I said, I'm already happy. I've got good friends. I like playing sports. I'm decently good at academics. No problem, I'm happy. I didn't like his answer. He said, you think you're happy? What do you think I'm happy? I'm happy. Why is my happiness not enough for you? You think you're happy. That's not true happiness. I did not like his answer. Anyway, when I went for that Vipassana course, I understood what he meant. I really just think, superficially, I think I'm happy. Deep down, there's a storm going on. And in those 10 days of not talking to others, not talking about it, not hard for me. Some people find that hard. I did not find it. It was just the tapasya of just being with no distraction. In those days, my distraction was books and music. There were books, there was music. Couldn't talk to anybody. Just meditate 10 hours a day. Meditate means what? You're stuck with yourself. You see, here's a question. Why do you get so angry and upset when someone comes late for a meeting? Suppose you were supposed to meet at 10 and they came at 10:45. They didn't even answer your messages. They were not even polite enough to answer your messages and tell you you're going to be late. 45 minutes. Why do you get so upset? You know what you're telling the person? How dare you leave me with myself? 45 minutes you left me with myself. That's why we get upset, right? Basically, we're telling them, how dare you? Don't you know I hate my own company? Don't you know it's intolerable for me to be with myself without distracting myself for 45 minutes? That's exactly what we're saying. So Eckhart Tolle had a nice thing I learned from one of his books. He said that if someone they come late, they say, oh, sorry to keep you waiting. Then you reply to them and you say, I wasn't waiting. I was with myself. How beautiful is that? I wasn't waiting. You're only waiting when you're looking for the next experience, the next hit, something should happen, something should happen. What has to happen? The Native Americans say that we are the ones we've been waiting for. Right. So what if you were to say, I wasn't waiting. I was with myself. I was with my best friend. Oh, really? Who's your best friend? Who's one? That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for some extra time with my best friend. Sometimes life gets busy. I don't get enough time with my best friend. So Pema Chodron says in one of her books, she says, what if the whole purpose of life is simply to be comfortable in our own skin? What if the whole purpose of life is to be comfortable in our own skin? So come back to this thought experiment of reality versus ideas about reality. Reality versus fantasy. So what's it like to be in this moment? At the very least, don't resist reality. It is what it is. We start there. Start with it. So you could call it acceptance. So basically, I'm not a fan of this moment. I'm not a fan of how it's going out, turning out. But okay, it is what it is. Acceptance. So give yourself a few breaths of that. There's a nice teaching by Eckhart Tolle. He talks about the three levels. What does he call it? Something like the three doors. The three doors to the present. What are the three doors to the present? The three doors to the present. Number one is acceptance. First door to the present moment is acceptance. The second door to the present moment is enjoyment. Have you noticed when you enjoy something, you're much more present? Maybe you enjoy cooking, maybe you enjoy being with friends, maybe you enjoy a morning walk. Have you noticed that? When you enjoy something, you're more present with a connection. You enjoy music, you enjoy dancing. So second gateway to the present, doorway to the present moment is enjoyment. So you should trust what you enjoy. Why do you wait for others to tell you what you should and shouldn't enjoy? So trust what you enjoy. And the third is enthusiasm. I don't remember if it's a Greek word or a Latin word, but enthuse is from what I understand, I remember, is to be filled with God. Enthused, enthusiasm, enthusiastic. So this is one level above enjoyment also. This is like you might have experienced, I'm sure pretty much everyone's experienced. You seem to get filled with a certain spirit, a certain energy. It's like, I need to do this. And something has to come out of you. Maybe a painting has to come out of you. Maybe a new business idea has to come out of you. Maybe to help someone has to come out of you. Maybe it's something, it's like, it's more than just feeling nice. It's about creation. It's the energy of creation. And you might have noticed enthusiastic people have a certain magnetism. When they're enthusiastic, you can't help but also feel like, oh, wow, this person, which is why salespeople are taught a lot about be enthusiastic. When you're enthusiastic, you're like, okay. Let's buy that vacuum cleaner. I've never vacuumed in my life. Let's buy it. Because they're so enthusiastic, you want a part of that action. Like, oh, really? That's going to make my life so much better. That's it. So that's why enthusiasm. But it becomes like a fake enthusiasm. It becomes a strategy as opposed to genuine enthusiasm sometimes. It becomes a tactic. But to be enthusiastic, and I don't think anyone can be enthusiastic 100% of the time. You're going to burn out. Your nerve endings will burn out. You'll be enthusiastic some of the time. You can even be enthusiastic much of the time. Be enthusiastic all the time. I don't know. Maybe some people are like that. It's quite rare. So this is the bandwidth, right? Acceptance, enjoyment, enthusiasm. Acceptance, enjoyment, enthusiasm. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other. Like if your car tire gets punctured, it'll be a little strange if you're enthusiastic. Believe it or not, my car tire is punctured. It's amazing. Putting a post on Instagram. It's punctured. It's punctured. I've been waiting for a day. You accept it. It's punctured. Now what do you do? So you figure out how do you fix this tire? I'm not saying it's impossible to be enthusiastic. You're like, so good, I didn't want to go for that meeting anyway. Let's just camp over here. It's possible. But so I would say in most cases, for a punctured tire, people will have acceptance. At the very least, acceptance. Right? Of course, most people actually resist it. But resistance then makes you a victim. So come to acceptance. Yeah, sometimes in the process of living, sometimes tires get punctured. That's how it goes. Sometimes we don't get what we want. And you could find, how can I enjoy this? Let me focus on what's good about this moment. One of my teachers, his car broke down, and so this is Ajahn Brahmavamso. So his monastery is about 3 hours from Perth. And on the way to the monastery, the car broke down. So they had to walk back to the monastery. There's not much public transport in that part. So he said something, he said, I noticed something, that I've been coming down this road for years. I thought I knew the road by heart. I've been on this road so many times. But when the car broke down and I had to walk, I suddenly saw the road differently. Have you noticed that? When you walk down a road, it looks different from when you go in a car. And then he said, once in a while, I'd stop. And again, everything would get transformed. Because when you stop, you see everything in absolute high resolution, like every grain of sand, every vein of every leaf. Everything is in high res. You've gone from the old TV to the high HD, the 4K HD TV. Right? Everything is super high resolution when you stop. And he said, this is a great example for life. When you're racing through life, you may experience a lot, but appreciate very little. That you're racing through life. It's like a blur. I'm sure many of us experienced this in the first days and weeks of the lockdown. All our lives went from racing, suddenly returned at home. Many, and some people it was more than others, and suddenly you began noticing simple things like, oh wow, cooking food together. There's no, in India, of course, we have household help. But, suddenly now we're cooking food and we're chopping vegetables together and cleaning the dishes together. And suddenly it's like, appreciating simple things like, wow, just sitting around together as a family. We haven't done that for a long time. We began to appreciate those things. So enjoyment. So Ajahn Brahm found enjoyment, even though it was an uncomfortable walk from the place his car broke down to the monastery. It must have been a long walk. But he enjoyed it. So you can choose to enjoy. This is a very big insight. You can actually choose to enjoy things. Has that ever happened to you that you've gone with friends to a small restaurant somewhere, maybe a dhaba, or we call it, a roadside? You have the time of your life, laughing away. You make friends with the waiter. And you're asking the stuff that's not even on the menu, and you guys are just like time stops. And actually, it's quite an ordinary dhaba. It's quite an ordinary restaurant, ordinary food. For you, that's one of the best memories and the best experiences. You decided to enjoy it. And I'm sure every one of you has had a chance to go to a top of the line hotel, 5-star or 7-star hotel, everyone's dressed immaculately, and the food is like every single dish is made immaculate. You don't even feel like touching it. It's so well made, gourmet. And you can't wait to get out of that place. Kab khatam hoga? It's happened, right? You've all had that experience. So it's not the place. It's not the circumstances. This is a huge recognition. Amor fati. Amor fati is Latin for love your fate. You can decide to love your fate. So instead of being a victim to your fate, you can love your fate. When I was a junior monk, my teacher said something interesting. He said, senior monks have senior monk suffering. Middle monks have middle monk suffering. Junior monks have junior monk suffering. I said, please explain what you mean. There's a junior monk. They're always at the end of the line for everything. Right? So we have everything to the line. Like for food, we go to the villages, then our food is put on a table. Senior monks go first. They get first pickings. So whatever there's less of, if they want, they finish it off. There'll be nothing left for the junior monks. So sometimes junior monks are watching. Will there be any that left for me by the time I get there? I'm not sure. I think by the time everyone's gone, there'll be nothing left. If they're very compassionate, then you may get a little bit. But often there's nothing left. That's junior monks suffer. Also, junior monks have to, one of our duties is to finish our food before the seniors. So we finish our food and we go and take the bowl. It's like an etiquette. You just take your seniors' bowl and you wash it for them. So like, I wish I had more time to eat. And of course, the senior monks get a hut with electricity. Wow, electricity. I have to light candles on them to get electricity. So these little things, right? They get to sit on an extra thick and fluffy cushion. They don't need it. They've got fat bums. They don't need an extra fluffy cushion. And we junior monks need it. We don't have those fat bums. We're starving away. The junior monks have got junior monks. Middle monks have got middle monks. They're neither here nor there. And senior monks outwardly look so good, right? Wow, they've got all these comforts. But now they have so many responsibilities. They're responsible for all these villagers come and talk about this is happening, that is happening. And then they have to decide, what's the next construction project that will happen, what new temple is going to be built, all these decisions. And then all the decision points come to them. And they look at the juniors and say, wow, they have all the time to practice. See, they're so free. So it's very powerful to recognize that what you're calling suffering, somebody else will look at you and say, how lucky you are. I'm not trying to demean your suffering. You have the right to suffer. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to suffer. But just recognize it is not as objective as you imagine. From another perspective, it can be seen as quite attractive, actually. That's good to recognize that possibility. So there's reality, and then there are our thoughts and fantasies about how reality should be could be. Reality, acceptance, enjoyment, enthusiasm. There's one more element to enthusiasm, which I find really powerful, which is, it's called Bodhichitta. Bodhichitta means the awakened heart of compassion. That's when you realize that you are thoroughly interconnected with everyone else. Recently, we had a powerful teaching from a Buddhist nun. She came to our community. I don't know if you watched it, Heather. It was also shared on YouTube. So she began with this simple teaching that anything that you have, anything that you own, anything that you've learned, anything that you like. Let me give you some example. Okay, think of something that you own that you appreciate. Maybe you have some nice clothes. Maybe you have a nice gadget. Maybe you have a nice house. Maybe you have some nice plants on the terrace. Has it not come through the efforts of many other beings? Many other people. There was a fashion designer. There was a person who stitched the clothes. There was a person who sold the clothes. There was a person who invented the washing machine, washing powder. Right? There's someone who made sure pipes for fillets of water could come to your home so you could wash your clothes. If you think about it, what element of your life is there that you can truly claim as this I have only done. From beginning to end, it's me. Can you think of anything? The fact that you can understand English right now. How many teachers must have got gray hair teaching you English, and fixing your spellings, and reading your horrible handwriting? How many teachers? You suck the life out of them just to be able to listen to me now. How many times you mispronounced all those words? That's not the way you pronounce it. Right? And how patiently they taught you again and again and again. There's a story, you might have heard the story, it's famous, but it's worth repeating. This man is sitting with his son on a bench, and a sparrow comes on the ground. And he turns to his son and says, his son's reading newspaper. He says, son, what's that? So that, dad, it's a sparrow. And a few seconds later, he again points to the same bird. Son, what's that? Dad, I told you it's a sparrow. Goes back to reading his paper. Again, a few seconds later, and so now the bird has flown off to the branch. And son, what's that? So dad, what's wrong with you? I told you twice. It's a sparrow. It's the same bird. Goes back to reading his paper. A few seconds later, again, dad, son, what's that? And now he's getting angry. Dad, what's wrong with you? Are you trying to irritate me? I've told you 3 times already. It's a sparrow. It's a bloody sparrow. What's the problem with you? Why don't you get it? He screamed at his father. And then his father had a notebook next to him, and he opens it, and he gives it to his son. He points, he taps at the page. Read this. What is this? Read it. It's a diary the father has kept years back. And it's dated the time when his son was 4 years old. And it says, today, my son asked me 16 times, what is that? And I replied, it's a sparrow. Each time giving him a hug and a kiss. Look at the son's face now. My father took 16 times he patiently told me, it's a sparrow, it's a sparrow. I got lost my cool and 4 times. So the point I'm trying to make is that recognize how everything you and I have in our life. It's not, we may imagine it's, oh, look how smart I am, how hard I worked. No, it's not like that. Countless beings. I would say all beings. There's a nice teaching. It takes the whole universe to produce 1 grain of rice. One of the teachings is before you start eating, you just look at your food. Just look at your food. It doesn't matter whether you pray or not. Just look at your food and say, wow. Took the whole universe to prepare this food. Took countless beings to prepare this food. So Bodhichitta, what I mentioned earlier, is recognizing that if I am the beneficiary, every moment of my life, from my socks and shoes, to the home I live in, to my health and safety, to the things I've learned, every element of it is because of countless other beings. And certainly, my life should in some way be of benefit to countless other beings. So please be with this very powerful perception. Take a couple of minutes. Recognize how everything in your experience is due to the efforts, the sacrifices, the love, the compassion, countless other beings. Deepen that insight, make it experiential. And from the middle of your heart, can you think and feel, thank you, all beings. I didn't recognize the extent to which my life is interconnected with all lives, all beings. Thank you. Thank you. And may this life, in some way, also be of benefit, also be of great benefit. And this experiential sense of connection, Thich Nhat Hanh has a nice word, interbeing, connected to all beings, not only living beings, even non-living beings, even clouds, even storms. With the lovely phrase that God sleeps in the rock, dreams in the plant, stirs in the animals, awakens in humans. At least it's possible to awake. So interbeing, to the extent we have this intuition of interbeing, our life goes to a whole other level, a whole other intelligence starts to operate. We shift from ego system to ecosystem. Ecosystem has a tremendous intelligence, like a supercomputer. Can you compare your, whatever it is, laptop or tablet or phone? Can you compare that to the internet? You can't even begin to compare that. Whatever stuff is stored on your phone or laptop, it's nothing, not even a drop compared to the internet. Internet is the ecosystem of computers, all computers. There's this joke about this, that there was scientists are trying to figure out, is there a God? So they put together a software program and they asked, is there a God? And the computer said, not enough computing power. So they connected all the laptops in the university. And they again asked the question, is there a God? Not enough computing power. They link up all the computers in the entire country. Ask the same question, is there a God? Beep, beep, beep. Not enough computing power. So finally, all the governments in all the world, everyone agrees that for a few minutes, every computer in the entire world will be linked together to ask this all-important question. But we have to know, right? So every computer in the entire world, whether it's a phone, whether it's a laptop, it's all connected together to ask this most important question. The whole world is waiting. This is a more important moment than the soccer World Cup. The whole world wants to know what's the answer. They ask the question, is there a God? Beep, beep, beep. The answer is now there is. Computers have taken over. Now there is. So you're tapping into a higher intelligence. I really recommend this documentary, My Octopus Teacher, on Netflix. This man dives into the ocean for 1 year. Every single year, every single day for 1 year, he dives into the ocean. Free dives. He doesn't take oxygen. He just dives, holds his breath. And he makes friends with an octopus. That's a really fantastic documentary, one of my favorites. But toward the end of it, he says something really powerful. He says, after diving for 1 year into this ocean, I experienced this ocean not as water and this underwater algae and this moss and this and that fish. No, I experienced it as one supercomputer. I'm entering the mind of the supercomputer. Every day I dive into the mind of the supercomputer. So when you tap into something like Bodhichitta, the sense of interconnection, you're shifting from ecosystem to ecosystem. You're shifting from your individuated self to your true self, your integrated self, your higher self, you can call it. To the extent we are resisting that, our life is going to be very turbulent. Because now the time has come for humanity to move. Enough of your ecosystem. Every single thing in your life is pushing you in that direction. You try to hold on, it's going to become unbearable. You're going to go mad. You're really going to go mad. Literally, there's no choice left now. You either evolve or you die. You keep on thinking, no, other people should change. Come on, husband should change, wife should change, this should change. No one's going to change. And it's time for you to change. You change your way of thinking. Your old-fashioned, old program is not working anymore. For time immemorial, husbands have been wanting wives to change, wives have been wanting husband to change, parents have been wanting kids to change, kids have been wanting parents to change. Everyone, somebody has to change. Enough. The dead program. Evolve more. Cannot solve problems from the same level of thinking that created them. Well, so when you tap into this, a whole different kind of intelligence starts revealing itself. And one example of that is, I'll give you an example from my life. I was, when I was a monk, we were walking about 3.5 days. We were walking in the dense forest. We were walking. It was early days. I was not even a monk actually then. I was still in training. And I was told we'll be walking through a forest for 3.5 days. So I was not convinced. We have monks actually don't have any fancy footwear. They just wear the chappals, normal bathroom chappal, flip-flops, Hawaii chappal, we call them in India. That's what they wear. I was not convinced this Hawaii chappal is going to be good enough. So I went to those days. I wasn't a monk yet, so I still had money. So I went and I bought as fancy. I still had to wear chappal. That's the etiquette that you have to wear chappal. But let me get a good chappal, nice solid chappal. Spend some money, got a solid chappal. We begin walking. By the end of the first day already, the solid chappal is so solid, it began cutting into my skin. And then somehow I get through the night. And by the second day onwards, it's really paining. It's cutting my skin. Now what do? There's no option. There's nobody carrying extra chappals. And the ground is way too rough to walk bare feet. Usually my feet are not strong enough. Keep walking. Can't slow down. We only have enough supplies to walk through this forest. So I was really suffering and suffering and suffering. I was beating myself up. Why did I buy this stupid chappal? Why can't I just go with everybody, what everybody else was wearing? They had some wisdom to take this. I was trying to be extra smart. And then something switched in my head. All right, the suffering is there, the pain is there. Chances are I'm not the only one in the world who has pain in their foot. There are countless other beings who have pain in their foot at this precise moment. All right. A very powerful thought emerged. Okay, I take on all your pain. Anyone in the world who's got pain in their foot, I take the pain. And I give you, may you be free from your pain. May I take the pain. Something in that moment, something very radical happened for me. My heart opened and the pain didn't go away. The suffering went away. There was still pain, but there was no suffering. Suffering is an extra element we add to it. There's reality, and then there's your thoughts about reality. So then there was just the reality, pain in the foot, and I walked. And I walked for the next 2 days. And only when we just came within the last 1 or 2 kilometers of now, you could literally see the monastery we had to go, the dense forest. That's when I became again, poor me, poor me, poor me. And literally, I literally crawled my way to the last in agony. I lost that, but toward the end, I lost it, right? But for the time I had it, it was like a kavach. It was like a powerful, it was like a whole shift in my perception. I didn't suffer. It was just discomfort without suffering. There was no emotional suffering. That's when I realized that this is an example of ecosystem as opposed to ecosystem. So what I want to offer you is, so do this with me right now. Okay, eyes can be open up first. Whatever you're currently experiencing, and it'll be a mixture. For some of you, it's more pleasant. Some of you, it's more unpleasant. Some of you, it's somewhere in between. There's someone else in the world. There are many others in the world who are experiencing similar things. As you know, even pleasant states can come with a baggage, right? You hold on to them very tight. Oh, this shouldn't change. This shouldn't change. This should stay forever. Of course, it doesn't. So pleasant states also have a baggage. Unpleasant states, of course, have nothing but pure suffering. Don't go there. So what I want to offer to you is the same thought that I had when I was in that forest. Okay, whoever else is going through this, fine. You're free from it. I'm the only one who has it. So go ahead. Bodhichitta. The mind of awakened compassion. May all beings be free from suffering. I have it anyway. I'm going to give meaning to this experience. And the meaning is, it's liberating all others from the same experience. Now go one level deeper. Not only are you taking it on their behalf, you're using your present experience as a way of radiating love and good wishes to all other beings, human and non-human, known and unknown, near and far, large and small, seen and unseen, born and to be born, all beings. You're radiating love to them using your current frequency. All other beings in the universe at this frequency are receiving your love. Yes. This is how karma becomes karuna. This is how karma, the result of past actions, becomes karuna, a vehicle for awakening. This is how everything is in the right place. This is how your life is the most advanced for your most accelerated possible evolution. No mistakes. No mistakes. I'm going to do the chant of the 100-syllable mantra Vajrasattva for purifying karma. And you continue just experiencing what you're experiencing, accepting it, enjoying it, being enthusiastic. In what way? This is a way to tune in to all other beings who are experiencing the same thing and wishing them complete freedom, complete ease, complete freedom, complete ease, radiating love to all those going through the exact same experience as me. Converting karma into karuna. Benjarasato samaya manupalaya benjarasato tenopa tishtadrido me bhava suto kayo me bhava supo kayo me bhava anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma sutsame sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sarva tatha gata benzer mame mansa benzer bhava maha samaya sato a. Om benzer sato samaya manopalaya benzer sato tenopa tishta tridho me bhava suto kayo me bhava supo kayo me bhava anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma sutsami sitang shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tatha gata benzaram mame mansa benzar bhava maha samaya sato a. Om Benjarasato Samaya Manopalaya Benjarasato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyam Kuru Hom Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva tatha gata benzer mame munsa benzer bhava maha samaya sato a. Om. Take a nice deep breath. There are two directions in which we are going to grow. One is the direction of feeling this oneness, this connection with all beings, and shifting from being to interbeing, from ego system to ecosystem, from personality to process. This is one direction. The sense of feeling one with everyone, everything. Everyone's like a mirror to you. Everything's like a mirror to you. What you do to others, you also have to experience it. Can't get away from it. You're doing it to yourself, actually. There's a story of this man who was super honest his whole life. He was a civil engineer. He made houses for the government. Whole life, super honest. Got a lot of promotion and then became quite senior. He was about to retire, and the mayor of the city called him and said, "Please, before you retire, just make one more house." I said, "Sir, I really want to retire now. I'm just make one more house. And this time, just go for it, because don't cut any corners. This time, just spend as much as you need to spend. Make a really beautiful house. This one's an important house." So this man thought, my whole life I've been so honest, never once cheated anyone. My last chance to make some money. I have a long retirement in front of me. I don't think the pension's going to be enough. So he decides this last project, it's got no budget. Let's use this opportunity. So he cuts every possible corner. He uses cheapest possible cement, cheapest possible metal rods, cheapest possible everything. And outwardly, the house looks beautiful, but he knows this is how it is. In less than 5 years, it'll be junk. Focus. So he does this, and there's a big inauguration ceremony for the house. And the mayor himself is present, and he congratulates the engineer for making a really beautiful house. And then he surprises everyone present by saying, "This is the gift of the city to you. This is your retirement gift from all of us." For your generous work, for your loving work to the city, we gift you this house. This is how it goes. Whatever you're doing to others, you're actually doing to yourself. Be very, this is kindergarten spirituality is be kind to others, don't tell lies. You start realizing I'm doing it to myself. However I'm treating others, treating myself actually. So you're either throwing flowers on the sky or you're throwing daggers in the sky. We know where it's going to land. So the sense of interbeing, the two directions we can go with this. One is the sense of interbeing. And the more we feel our oneness with all beings, and the more we do our part, just like they have done their part to support us, more than their part, let us also do our part. And let us learn to cherish all living beings. Even if it seems like too high of an ideal, doesn't matter. Expand your sense of what you can and can't do. And the other direction we go is the direction of who am I? What is this? And don't be satisfied with mental answers. Who am I? Who am I? What is this? And the more you go in that direction, who's taking delivery of this experience? Like right now, don't make it an intellectual process. Who's having this experience of attending this session, live, what do you call it? Who's having this? I am. Who am I? What is this? It's not so clear. It's a big question mark. I like to ask this question. What if all of this is a dream? What if all of this is a highly convincing dream? If it's highly convincing, it's hard to tell it's a dream, right? It's highly convincing dream. What if all of this is a highly convincing dream? When you go for your morning walk, if you do, just keep this question. The whole walk, what if this is all a highly convincing dream? Any time of the day. What if all of this is a highly convincing dream? Including, like normally a movie has only two things, right? Sights and sounds. But this one is also got textures and smells and tastes and emotion, thought, there's an inner commentary. Not only there's an outer commentary, other people speaking, there's an inner commentary. It's just a more advanced dream, that's all. What if this is a very elaborate dream? Very convincing dream. And here's the second question, even more interesting. What if I'm not even the dreamer? What if I'm not even the dreamer? What if it's a dream dreaming itself? So that's the other direction. The other direction of emptiness. You can't really label anything. So one is called, the outer one, so-called outer one, is called growing up. And the inner one is called waking up. Grow up, wake up, grow up. How do you grow up? How do you wake up? You have to clean up. What do you clean up? You clean up all these cobwebs that you have, funny ideas you have about yourself and about the world. You have to clean up. For that we do a sadhana. Now, whether it's meditation, whether it's sangha, whether it's service, whether it's self-inquiry, whether it's reflection, contemplation, but there are countless sadhanas. Clean up. You don't clean up, you don't get to genuinely grow up. You don't get to genuinely wake up. How do you clean up? Show up. Show up where? Show up where you are. So when you show up, and you see what a mess you're creating all the time, inside and outside, it's a complete mess. My goodness, better clean up. And as you clean up, automatically you start growing up and you start waking up. So show up to clean up to grow up, and grow up to wake up. Wake up, grow up, clean up, show up. I'm borrowing this terminology from Ken Wilber. Very powerful. 4 dimensions. There's 4 aspects you could say. So the superpower I chose is, no matter how I live this life, or this life lives me, no matter what thoughts, words, and actions come through, some will be so-called beneficial, some will be so-called non-beneficial, some will be so-called helpful, some will be so-called not helpful. Some will be so-called spiritual, some will be so-called not spiritual. Doesn't matter. May it be the maximum suffering, maximum freedom of suffering, maximum beings. May all beings wake up. May all beings grow up. May all beings clean up. May all beings show up. In my experience, the more powerful your sankalpa is, the more magical your life becomes. So don't just randomly choose any superpower. You may even get it. I don't know what superpower you chose. Let's go back and check. Yeah. Great superpowers. So really think about this. It's going to come actually. Whatever your superpower you wish for, it's going to come. It's going to happen. You'll be amazed how it happens. This has been my experience. I've asked for a lot of things in my life. Most of them have happened. It'll happen for you also. But then Saint Teresa of Avila said, be careful what you ask for. I was reading the story about this man who, when Ramakrishna Paramahansa was dying, one of his disciples. So Ramakrishna said, last chance, ask for whatever you want. So he made a fervent prayer. Give me the capacity to see the world the way you see it. Give me the capacity to see oneness, see the world the way you see it. And after Ramakrishna Paramahansa died, something began happening to him. When he'd be eating food, his plate would turn into Ramakrishna. He'd look at the wall would turn into Ramakrishna. He'd look at his hand would turn into Ramakrishna. And he began going mad. He began like too much. Everything was at the bed with Ramakrishna. Everything was Ramakrishna. So after 3 days of that, he said, please take this away. I can't handle it. This is beyond me. Take this away. and it faded away. And the story was told by him years later. He said, I wish I had just had the strength to take it. He gave it to me. I didn't have the strength to take it. Why did he not have the strength to take it? You have to prepare the ground. How do you prepare the ground? You show up, you clean up, you grow up, you wake up. Don't ask for what's beyond your syllabus. Your syllabus is already given to you. What's your syllabus? Your current experience is your syllabus. You want a joy bigger than this? Well, learn to tolerate your present joy and suffering. Khalil Gibran says that your sorrow carves into your being the space that can hold the joy. You can't handle your sorrow when you want joy. It's not going to happen. First, learn to handle your sorrow. First, learn to be grateful for your current level of joy. Recently, we've been doing some pretty intense practices. Some of us have been doing a lot of Tara chanting. Even for me, someday, like, my God, there's too much bliss to handle. What do you do with this bliss? Like, shake it off. The nervous system is not used to so much bliss. So you got to prepare the ground. It's a very strange. I was telling someone I was on a call. People understand when you say, you're suffering. Yeah, we understand it's difficult. But when you say it's too much bliss, then what do you do with this person? Too much bliss? Like they've never heard of this before. You're too happy. It's a different kind of problem. Not used to being that happy. You got to ground yourself about that. So Pema Chodron was going through a very dark phase in her practice. She's one of the Buddhist nuns. Going through a very dark phase in her practice. And many, many years actually, very dark. Like they call it dark night of the soul. Neither here nor there. Can't come out of it. Finally, she goes to one of her teachers and she confesses just how dark it is, how heavy it is, what a burden it is. He listens to her very patiently. And he doesn't seem to have much to say. He says a little bit, but nothing she hasn't heard before. So she's like even more sad. Like, even my teacher can't help me. They're stuck on this. And then he walks away for a while. He's leaving, so she's there. She came with sorrow, hoping that something would go away. And she's left in a puddle of her own sorrow. Didn't really help. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's a very powerful word. It's called Dakini. Dakini is a dharma protector. Dakini is like a female, like you could think of it as a spirit, like a female dharma protecting spirit. So these are very, very powerful beings, not ordinary beings, not like any cute little deva. They're like a force, like they're like pure Shakti in a way, like a force to be reckoned with. So he comes back, this teacher of hers, and he taps her on the shoulder and he points at her and says, that what you're going through, that Dakini bliss. Dakini bliss. So he labels her experience Dakini bliss. That's the bliss of the Dakinis. And he walks away. And she goes through a revolution inside of her. There's a revolution. All this time, she was seeing it as a burden, a burden, a burden. How can I get rid of this? How can I get rid of this? How can I get rid of this? No practice was helping. And her teacher just says, Dakini bliss. That's the bliss of Dakinis. Complete shift. She's out of it. She's out of the dark night of the soul. He could not have said that to her. He could not have. It's not even what he said actually. It's like an energetic nudge It's like a psychic operation that he just did. He could not have done that unless he dealt with his own stuff, you see. So to the extent you and I deal with our own stuff, we show up with our own stuff. We clean up with our own stuff. To the extent we grow up, we feel the interbeing, and we use what we're presently experiencing as a gateway for our expanding the heart of compassion, expanding the heart of love. And to the extent we wake up to the groundlessness, the dreamer, the dream without the dreamer, only then can we be of such great benefit. So I'm here to tell you that nothing's out of place. The newspaper will tell you everything's out of place. And I'm here to tell you nothing's out of place. They tell me that every year the Psychological Association has a certain book of all the mental disorders. It might be good for you to get it, but when you start reading it, you start recognizing, oh, I have this also, I have this also, I have this also. And my mother has this, and my father has this, and no wonder that ex-boyfriend had this. And there, every year, that compendium doesn't become smaller, it actually becomes bigger. The list of symptoms becomes bigger, and the number of ailments becomes bigger. There is no end to the amount of psychological suffering there is in this world. And every single one of those, I can tell you, without even having read the book, I can tell you, every single one of those is resisting reality in one way or the other. So I have to ask you this question. Are you a lover of reality, or are you a lover of fantasy? When you're a lover of reality, you're walking on the path of the Buddhas. You're waking up again and again. Ah, this is the way it is. This is the way it is. This is the way it is. When you're on when you're a lover of fantasy, then you're walking on the path of the Buddhas. All the foolish ones before you, foolish ones of the present, the foolish ones of the future. It's all right. Like I said, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. You can suffer. That's a very well-trodden path. But even this is a very well-trodden path. How different my life would have been if at the age of 16, I had not learned to meditate. I mean, I'm still learning to meditate. I don't think I still know how to meditate, but that initial glimpse of there is another way, how different my life would have been. I told that teacher that, oh, I'm already happy. I was happy to the extent things were going my way. My parents, my friends, everyone was treating me the way I wanted to be treated. The moment that changed, everything went down. It was a very unstable habit. It was not happiness. It was just circumstantial. At least now, I may still suffer if that happens. At least now there's a measure of understanding that I'm creating this. At least now, it's not that I don't suffer. At least now there's a choice. I don't have to suffer. That's huge. One of my teachers says that, when he's sad, he allows it. When he's sad, when he's afraid, when he's angry, when he's irritated, he allows himself. He says, I really allow myself. For a full minute or two, I allow myself. Done. Be sad. Be sad for 1 minute. Go ahead. Be angry for 1 minute. Be irritated for 1 or 2 minutes. But then, beyond that, what's the point? How much are we going to keep on? You're going to go 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 10 days. Come on. Be done with it. Go through it. Be done with it. And that's possible, actually. The more we show up and we clean up and we grow up and we wake up, it's possible. to go from acceptance to enjoyment to enthusiasm. Acceptance of reality, enjoyment of reality, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. This is, nothing needs to change. Dakini bliss. This is Dakini bliss. This is the bliss of the Dakini, what you're currently experiencing. The other day we had a meditation where this phrase came up that we're doing this practice of Tara these days. Tara is a powerful deity slash goddess slash bodhisattva. And he said, Tara is pleased with us. Just, and I know you're muted, but just say it or think of it. Tara is pleased with me. Just say it. Tara is pleased with me. And these are her most advanced blessings. Tara is pleased with me, and these are her most advanced blessings. So she's so pleased with you. Tara is so pleased with you that she wants to give you the fastest, most powerful medicine. Now don't flinch. Now take it. Bring it on. You should see this beautiful picture of Socrates holding a cup of hemlock. He was told to drink poison, die by poison, because he was corrupting the mind of the youth. What was he corrupting? He was just making them question. He was not teaching them anything. He would just ask questions like, what is truth? What is beauty? What is love? What is justice? That was enough to shake up the whole system. So they said that, oh, you're a bad person, you're corrupting the youth. So hemlock is poison. And while he's holding hemlock in one hand, he's talking to his disciples. And he's saying, hey, by the way, just I owe some little bit of money to this fellow. Let's pay off that. He's being so practical. He's about to die. Let's pay off that debt. I want to owe a little bit of money to that fellow. Let's pay that off. And all that I know at the end of an amazing life, he said, all that I know is that I know not. Wow. The highest wisdom is not knowing. The highest wisdom is knowing the extent of your not knowing. Don't know. Nothing I know. And with that, very casually, he drinks the hemlock, the poison. So when you are living in this way, you will go through this life with more grace, with more ease, with more spontaneity. Alert, but not tight. Present, but not stuck. And yes, you will kind of, and I'm in this place called Deer Park Monastery, Deer Park Institute in Beer. And there are paragliders coming all day. This is also paragliding capital of the world, Billing. So the other day we were doing this practice and we were talking about the paragliding. So one of the people in the call said, they are paragliding, but we are Tara-gliding. Tara, I found that so funny. Tara-gliding. We're going to Tara-glide through the life. What is Tara-gliding? Through the wings of compassion, through the wings of awareness. We just glide through life. And your karmas will come up, and they'll come up at a dramatic rate, by the way. And you will glide over them. All the traumas, all the problems, all the accusations, things are going to speed up. Get ready for it. They're going to speed up. And it's not a problem. You're going to glide right over them, right past them. You're going to Tara glide. So the same kind of ease that Socrates had in that last moment of his life with the hemlock. May you embody that kind of curiosity, that kind of wonder, that kind of ease in this life and in this death. Your life is your preparation for your death. And there is no bigger question. There is no bigger question. Everything else is just that. How do I live? How do I live? Did I love well? Did I learn to let go? Did I love well? Did I learn to let go? Let's dedicate the merit of our practice to all beings. May all beings benefit from our practice today. Whatever superpower you chose for yourself is getting activated right now. Irreversibly activated right now. If there was any truth to anything that was shared today, if there was even 1% truth to anything that was shared today, then by the power of that truth, may your superpower be activated in an irreversible way. Bhavatu Samangal Bhavatu Samangal Bhavatu Samangal Lam Sa Sa Sa. All right, everybody. Well done. I'm called to offer longer retreat in December. It's going to be from 2nd to 23rd, to 21-day retreat. And it'll be both in person as well as online. So tomorrow I'm sending out information, more detailed information. Some of you already written to me, and we will get back to you. So yeah, if some of you are called, it's more intensive retreat, not for everybody. So 3 hours of practice a day for 21 days. So if you're part of my Hari Oli group on Telegram, you'll get information. If you're part of my newsletter, you'll get information. Otherwise, you'll see it on my Instagram or wherever else we're connected. And if you don't see it, and if you're interested, then get in touch. And a good retreat. It'll also be one of the first in-person retreats, proper in-person retreats after the lockdown. So, and to make it more mysterious, it's a secret location. So only those who sign up get to know where it's happening. Good. So thank you all. Let's make a big Mayurma. Good wishes to everybody. 3 times. Say together. Mayurma. The highest in me bows to the highest in you. May today and every day be the happiest day of your life. May you be a powerful, clear, transparent channel of blessings just by being yourself. Don't have to be special, don't have to be anything. Just be normal, just be yourself. Just keep showing up, just keep cleaning up, just keep growing up, and just keep waking up. And in that way, fulfilling a life that is already fulfilled. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Take rest. Be well. Bye-bye.